Hello! In this video I will give a short introduction of the concept postmodernism and also talk about why I think it's very important that social work practitioners knows the basics of critical theory. We can think of three different stages in our societal development. First of all, we can talk about traditional societies that often refer to so-called hunter-gatherer societies that consisted of small groups of people who provided themselves by gathering and hunting resources from nature. A second stage in our societal development is often referred to as the modern society. And what distinguishes modern societies from traditional societies is what can be defined as scientific innovation. And the first form of scientific innovation is all about the creation of agriculture, when people learn to provide, for instance, food by means of harvesting and by upbringing livestock. Further on, modern societies started to produce also other innovations such as tools that enable people to produce resources more efficiently. And the one thing that is similar to traditional and early modern societies is that people's everyday tasks was often very clearly linked to the provision of vital resources. For instance, when it comes to traditional societies, there were, harshly speaking, two kinds of people. People working with production, that is all about hunting and gathering, and people occupied with provision, that is taking care of children and keeping the hut warm. I'm obviously simplifying here just to make a point. In the same way, if we look at early modern societies, you might be working as a farmer where your task was to provide food for your community, or you could be a blacksmith who provided tools for your community. So what you did was very clearly connected to the production of necessary resources, vital equipment, food, and so forth. And the thing that distinguishes postmodern societies from both traditional and modern societies is two things. Firstly, postmodern societies are far more complex. People work in larger groups and there is a much more complex structure when it comes to what people do in their everyday life. A second thing is that what people do in their everyday life, their occupation for instance, is only vaguely connected to the production of basic needs. For instance, me working at the university, having a PhD in social work are only vaguely linked to something very basic that provides something very necessarily to our society. Still, I have a fairly good salary, particularly based on the fact that I have a doctor's degree that gives me a certain position. But I am not doing something that would be evidently extremely crucial for sustaining human life on this planet. And that goes also for other occupations. If you work in the food industry, for instance at the food factory, it is quite likely that you might work at the HR unit with some management tasks or being a bookkeeper, or perhaps you're an engineer working with the production line. You are not actually providing the food, doing the essential task to provide us with resources, but you do something else that has a very complex link to this provision of basic needs. So if we look at how different people were valued or positioned in the hierarchies of different groups, in traditional societies and early modern societies, there's a quite clear link between what you do and how it's linked to the provision of basic needs. Whereas in postmodern complex societies, your position is much more unclearly connected to something that has to do with provision of basic needs. It's more based on complex social agreements that is often called social constructions. For instance, we have social agreements that a janitor is in another position than a manager, for instance, in an office. We also have this hierarchy at the universities where we have professors, university lecturers, and teachers. We tend to value people working in the management higher when it comes to salary than people working at the production line. And why that is based on not something that is clearly connected to something real, like the provision of basic needs, but it's more based on a social agreement that we value things in a particular way in the current society. Occupations is obviously not the only thing that is socially constructed in postmodern societies. We also tend to have various constructions of what we are expected of different gender groups. Different ethnic groups are also often socially constructed, which can lead to discrimination and unequal treatment. We might be suspicious to some groups in society and then perhaps to value another group in society. And all these things are not linked to something real in the sense as a blacksmith's work is linked to making basic tools. They are more socially constructed values and agreements that are interchangeable. And to summarize my point here, the idea of postmodernism or social construction is not just about a theory among others that claim that social constructions exist. It's more about a way to describe current society and how we have structured contemporary societies based on these shared values, often defined as social constructions. And once you have gathered the idea that contemporary societies are not organized in a natural order, but based on social constructions, you can also start to look at these constructions critically and question social norms and these social agreements that we have on how we understand and value different people and different groups. To end this video, I would like to say that I find it to be very crucial that social workers have the basic understanding of the essence of contemporary postmodern societies that are very much based on social constructions, because this enables social workers to look critically at the society and look critically at how social structures influence people's possibilities in society. If we understand that they are constructed, we can understand that they also can be reconstructed and shaped to provide us a more equal, better society, which I think is the fundamental task for all social workers. I think that was all I wanted to say about postmodernism and critical theory. I hope my thoughts made sense. See you soon again. Have a nice day and bye.